Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, enjoying the JCL session. So today will be our fourth session. So let's start with the session. So this is the agenda for the fourth session. So first we will do some review. We can say that we will be going through what we have learned in the last session, which is our third session. And after that, we will be learning new facility, which is catalog facility. And after that, we will be deep diving into each and every DD statement parameter that we have learned in the last session. So what is DSNAME parameter? Then we will be going into the what is disposition, which is DISP. Then we have unit, then we have volume parameter. And in the last, we will be going to the space parameter and DCB parameter. So this is the agenda for the fourth session. So let's start with the last session recap. So in the last session, mostly we have covered is the syntax of job statement, where you learn about how you can write the job, how you can provide the information like accounting information, programmer's name, message class level, what is notify parameter. So everything you have covered in the syntax of the job. And after that, you learn how you can code the job name, what are the rules you have to follow, where you just need to start with the column 3, and it should follow at least one blank parameter, and it can be from 1 to 8 character long and consisting of alphanumeric and national characters, and first character must be a alphabetic or a national character. So this is regarding the rules for the job name that you will be coding into the JCL statement. And we have covered the syntax as well. And after that, we discuss what is this programmer's name parameter, how you can provide that programmer's name parameter. And after that, we discuss what is the notify parameter. So basically, notify parameter is the person who will get the notification once job is submitted. So there you have two options. First one is the user ID, which is our TSO user ID, and another one is the sys UID. That means whenever the person submit the job, that person will get the notification of whatever the output of that job. So this is all about the notify parameter. Then we discuss what is message class, message level parameter, where you will be having different types of parameters, and what is the example. So we have check the message class equals to class, and it will be one character long, A to Z and 0 to 9. And it is having some specification for each and every parameter you will provide, and the class are specified according to your requirement. And after that, we discuss what is message level parameter, where you have two sub parameter. One is statement, another one is message. Statement specifies what are which JSL statement should be printed, and there you can give the option as 0, 1, 2. And another one is the message parameter, which specifies the which system messages should be printed, and we have the parameter 0, 1. So we have discussed all this regarding the message classes, message level. And after that, we check what is how to code the exact statement, and in that exact statement, what is PGM, what is palm parameter. And we have discussed some example of that. PGM means this specifies the name of the program to be executed for this job step, whatever the job you will be writing for that particular step, that program will be executed. So that is under the PGM equals to program name. And if you are writing PARM, which is palm parameter, which is an optional one, specifies the information that pass to the program. So whenever you are writing some program, and for that program you need to pass some specific parameter, then you should code that palm parameter, which will be input or the specific information that is required to execute that particular program. So that is regarding the PGM and palm parameter. Then after that, we learn how to code the DD statement. There we have discussed our syntax, which is will be having DSNAME specifies the name of the data set. Then we have a disposition parameter specifies the file status, normal and abnormal disposition. And today's session we will be going deep diving into each and every parameter. What is DSNAME, disposition, unit, volume, space, and DCB parameter. So that is all we have covered in the last section. So yes, so we will start with the new topic, which is what is catalog facility. Okay. To keep track of hundreds of DSD volumes and thousands of dataset found in a typical mainframe installation, our mainframe system, ZOS, provides the comprehensive catalog facility that records the location of file. Obvious, because we will be having n number of data set, will be having n number of DSD volume files. So we have the facility, which is the catalog facility, which records the location of each and every file. So that is the catalog facility. The word itself is meaning, showing its meaning. That means catalog. So we are cataloging that particular file. So we'll be having the location records on that catalog facility. That means when you want to access a file, you don't have to know the volume serial number of the volume that contains the file. The system can look it up in the catalog for you. Yes, so we have all the record which is regarding the location of the file. So whenever you want to access any file, you don't have to provide any volume serial number. As I have shown some example to you as well in my JCL as well, I don't provide that volume serial number when I want to access any file, because it is catalog file. That means our catalog facility will provide all the information which is regarding the volume serial number will automatically catch by that facility. So there are two types of catalog available. One is the master catalog and another one is the user catalog. So each system has one master catalog along with an unlimited number of user catalog. So there are two types. One is master catalog and another one is the user catalog. And just one master catalog along with the n number of unlimited user catalog. So the master catalog contains entries that are identify system dataset that are used by the operating system and user catalog. Okay, so the master catalog contains the entries that identify the system dataset that are used by the operating system. So whatever operating system you're using, and in our case, we'll be using ZOS. So for that particular operation, whatever data set we will be requiring, all that are available in the master catalog, and also our user catalogs are also available in the master catalog. So these are the two catalog we have in any operating system. So user catalog, on the other hand, contain the entries that are identified as a user data set. For example, you are working on a mainframe and you are creating the n number of data set for your users. So all those data set will be going into the user catalog because those are created by the user, and that's why those are all user catalog. The high level qualifier in the dataset name often indicate the user catalog in which dataset is catalog. Okay, so when you are creating the dataset, you will be having the high level qualifier at the starting of your file. So that indicates the user catalog for that particular data set. So user catalog typically have several aliases. That way, file with different high-level qualifiers can be cataloged in the same user catalog. So this is all about the catalog facility. So basic understanding of the catalog facility is that whenever we are creating any file or whatever the file we have on our system, which will be used by the operating system, all are records in the catalog facility, and that will record the location of file. So whenever you will be using those file, you don't have to provide any volume serial number or any kind of information, because all catalog data set are in the catalog facility, and when you want to use that file, we will be having that information automatically. And there are two types. One is the master catalog and another one is the user catalog. So master catalog contains all the system data set that are used by operating system, and also we'll be having the user catalogs. And user catalogs are nothing but the uh, entries or the data set created by the user. So that are under the user catalogs. Okay, so the next parameter is DSN and DSNAME parameter. So in our DD statement syntax, we have learned that our starting of the DD statement is most of the time is by using any data set name. So the DD name that coded in the name field of the DD statement is a symbolic name that the processing program uses to refer the data set. Yes, to refer a data set, we provide the DD name, which is our DD statement. And the DSNAME parameter is always required for permanent data set. It supplies the dataset name as it's stored in the datasets label or in the files catalog entry. Yes, so if your file is catalog and you want to use that file in any job step or any job statement, you need to provide the DS name and that file name, so our program can access that file. So that is all about the how you can code the DS name parameter. And each DD name should be a unique within the job step. Yes. And if not, the system will still perform the device and space allocation for both DD statement, but will direct all references to the first DD statement in the job step. So yes, most of the time or sometime we can have this scenario that you will be using the same DD name or we'll be using the same file. So our system will perform space allocation and device allocation for both the DD statement, but or direct all references to the first DD statement in the job step. But it's standard practice that should be unique within the job step. And some DD names have a special meaning to the system and therefore cannot be used to identify dataset in the processing program. This reserve DD name. So for example, in our system, we have a special meaning of some of the files. So you cannot use those names in our DD statement. So for example, sys parameter and sys file, all those are the keywords that are reserved for the system, for the operating system. So you cannot use those kind of words in our DD statement. So in the next slide, we will be showing all those examples that are under the reserved DD names and that cannot be used in our programs. The DSNAME parameter is optional for temporary dataset. So for your permanent dataset, you need to code the DD statement. But if you are using temporary dataset, you don't have to provide the DSNAME parameter. So DSNAME is all about the file that you will be using for that particular job step. Okay, so this is the example or the syntax of DD name parameter. So here you can see you can provide the DS name equals to dataset name, or you can provide the DSN is equal to dataset name, and in the bracket you can provide the member. So there are different ways to code the DSN DS name parameter. So this is the first example. Here you can see this is the DD statement and we have written DS name equals to, we have provided our file name and we have provided disposition equals to SHR. So what is that SHR? So in the next slide, we will get this information, but disposition SHR means that you can use this file and other people can also use file. So you are sharing this file with other people as well. So that is why we have provided disposition equals to SHR. The next example here, you can have DSN equals to, we have some file and we have the disposition parameter SHL. So in both ways, you can provide the DD statement, which is our file name for that particular job step, which file you should be using. So you need to provide that information. And that we discussed in the last slide that there are some reason name that used by the operating system that you should not give those kind of file names and you should not provide those information in our job step because those are the reserved keywords. So we have sysdump as well, we have sysappend, we have this sysin parameters, and we have some JCB in. So all those are the reserved DD name that are used by the operating system, and we should not use those parameters or those names in our files, and that's why we should avoid. Okay, so this is all about the DS name and DD name. I hope this topic is clear to everyone. Like it is all about whatever the file you will be using to process for that particular step, and this is the syntax of DS name and how you can provide your DS name. Okay, so the next one is the disposition parameter. The DSP parameter has three positional sub parameter. First one is the status. Another one is the normal disposition, and the last one is the abnormal disposition. The status specifies whether the file is new, in bracket we have provided as a new. So whether your file is new or an existing file to which you want exclusive access, then in bracket we have provided old, or an existing file you want to access and allow others to access to as well. So that is sharing facility. Or an existing file to which you want to add record. So which is MOAD, which is modify. Okay, so there are status specified in this file. So if your file is new, then you should provide the option as new. And if you want that particular file, which is our existing file, and you want exclusive access to that file, then you should provide the parameter status as old. And if it is an existing parameter, the file is already there, and you want access, and as well as you want to share, allow others to access to as well, so we need to provide SHR. That means we are sharing that particular file with others user as well. But in that old, you are not sharing that file. It will be exclusively assigned to you only. And another one is the existing file where you want to add a record, which is modification. So I think in my JCL, I have some. Okay, so I have disposition is equals to old. So this is the old file, and I'll be only a user that will be accessing that particular file, which is exclusive access. So that's why I have provided the old, and here I have provided disposition as new, because this will be a new file that we will be creating in this process. So that's why I have provided the new. So this is old, that means exclusive access. This that is new, that means we'll be creating the new file. And here we are having disposition equals to SHR. That means we are also using these files, and other people are also using that file. So there is no exclusivity. We all will be sharing that file. The last one is the sharing. The last one is the MOAD, which is modification, which is modify, and to which you want to add the record. So this is all about the status. So we have three subparameter, you can say that. And the first one is the status. So basically it will define the status of the file, where we have four options: new, old, share, and mod. Okay. And the next one is the normal disposition. Normal disposition specifies what the system should do with the data set if the job step ends normally. Okay, so you are writing JSL, you are writing a job step, and you are doing some operation, and you are using some programs. And so you should provide this kind of specification. So if your job successfully completed, or that particular job step completed successfully, so what should be you will be doing with that file? So operating system asks you, like, you want to delete, you want to keep it, you want to catalog, you want to uncatalog, all those operations. So that is all about the normal disposition. And there are 4 to 5 options for normal disposition. The first one is, you want to keep the file, then you need to write keep. You want to delete the file, then you can write delete. You want to catalog it, you can provide this keyword. And if you want to uncatalog it, then you have to provide this keyword. Or retain it for the future or the use by subsequent job step, then you need to write it as a pass. Okay, so your job step completed successfully, and you want to keep that file, keep it. You want to delete that file, delete it. You want to catalog it, write this keyword. You want to uncatalog it, write this uncatalog keyword. And there is also one option: if you return that file for the use by subsequent job step, then you need to provide the option which is pass. Okay, so this is all about the normal disposition and what are the parameters that you can use for that particular file. If your job completed or your job step completed, what you will be doing with that file. So you can provide these options as per your requirement. And the next one is the abnormal disposition. Abnormal disposition specifies what to do if your program fail. So most of the time happens if you are working on long job, and if any one step is not working fine, then what should operating system will do for that particular file that you have written in the DD statement of that job. So that is what is the abnormal disposition. Like your job step is fails, program fails, it is not completed, it is not working. So we have provided some DD statement. So operating system will ask, okay, what should I do for that file? So we are having the same values as normal disposition except pass. So if your job step or that program fails, you can keep the file, you can delete the file, you can catalog the file, you can uncatalog the file, but you cannot provide this pass option in the abnormal disposition. Why? Because your file is not, your job step is failed, so you cannot pass that particular file to the next job step. So that's why for the abnormal disposition you have only four options: keep, delete, catalog, uncatalog, and you don't have the option of pass. So in status, if we have new, old, share, modify, and if we are having normal disposition, we have keep, delete, catalog, uncatalog, pass. And if it is normal disposition, then we have keep, delete, catalog, and uncatalog. We don't have the pass option. Okay. So this is the syntax of disposition parameter that we have discussed till now. So in this slide, we will get the better idea. So this is the syntax: disposition equals to status, normal disposition, abnormal disposition. New means the data set does not exist and should be created. Old means data set exists and should be allocated for exclusive use. Exclusive use means that only certain user can access that file. Other people will not be access that file in that period of time when the job is executing. And SHR means the data set exists and should be allocated for shared use. That means you are also using that file and other people are also using that. So that is SHR, which is sharing. And another one is the mod. The data set is allocated for exclusive use and its position at the end of the data. So additional records may be added after the last record. If you also code volume serial, the data set must exist. So if you want to modify any particular file, then you need to provide the status parameter as mod, and whatever you have the last record, after that last record you will be having or adding that particular record to that particular file. So this is all about the status. And in the normal and abnormal disposition, we have the same parameter. Only difference is in abnormal disposition, we don't have the pass parameter. So delete means data set is deleted. If it was retrieved from the catalog, it is also uncatalog as well. And keep, the data set is written. Catalog means a data set is written and a catalog entry is made in the catalog facility. And uncatalog means the data set is written, but its catalog entry is removed from the catalog facility. The next one is the pass, the normal disposition only. The data set is written for use by a later job step. So this is all about the abnormal and normal disposition that you will be using in our disposition parameter. And there are some default values as well. So for example, if you omit the status value, so you just started writing disposition equals to, and you just provided what you should do with normal disposition and what you should do with abnormal disposition. So by default, it will catch it as a new. And in the normal disposition depends on the value specified or assumed by the status. If you are providing the status as new, normal disposition is delete. If you are providing old, share, or modify, the normal disposition is keep. So in your disposition parameter, if you provide the status as new and you forget to provide the normal disposition parameter. So here we have the default values. If your status, the file status is new, the normal disposition is delete, and if your file status is old, share or mod, the normal disposition value is keep. And regarding the abnormal disposition, takes on the value specified or assumed for the normal disposition. So this is all about the disposition parameter that we have learned in this slide, which is our what are the status, what are the normal disposition, and what are the abnormal disposition. So I hope by keeping this syntax in mind, your all doubts will be clear, like what are the status we have, what are the normal and abnormal disposition we have. Okay, the next slide. The next slide is all about the unit and volume parameter. So this parameter work together to specify the location of a data set. Unit indicate the device where the data set resides, and volume indicate the volume serial or volume serial number of the data set's volume. You specify unit and volume when you are creating a new data set or you are retrieving an existing uncatalogued data set. So that is all about unit and volume. So if you are creating a new data set, then you can specify volume or unit parameter. Or when you are retrieving an existing uncatalogued data set, then you can specify the unit and volume parameter. For a catalog dataset, the unit on volume information is stored in the catalog, so you don't need to code it in the JCL. So as you can see, most of the JCL, in my JCL as well, I don't provide that most of the time unit and volume parameter, because most of the time you are using the catalog files, and that's why you don't provide that information which is regarding the unit and volume. You can code the unit parameter in one or three ways. First, you can specify a group name that indicates device that belong to the categories set up by the installation. For example, SYSDA is commonly used name that typically refers to any DSD unit that's available for public use. This is the most common way to code the unit parameter. So be sure to find out what group names are used by DSD devices in your shop. Okay, so I think yes. So in one of my JCL line, I have used the unit parameter, which is unit is equals to SYSDA. So that is what they have mentioned. So for SYSDA is commonly used group name that typically refers to any DSD unit that's available for public use. So that is one of the example of the unit parameter. And the second one is you can specify a generic name that identify a particular type of device. For example, if you specify unit equals to 3390, a 3390 device will be used. Third, you can specify a device number such as unit equals to 301. Here the unit at address 301 will be allocated. As a rule though, it's not good idea to specify an actual device number in a unit parameter. The volume parameter lets you specify which volume you want to allocate for your dataset. That's called a specific volume request. For a new dataset, however, the volume parameter is optional. If you code the volume parameter in the DD statement, you should include a unit parameter too. So most of the time, when you are working on the new dataset, volume parameter is optional. So this is all about the unit and volume parameter. So I think we have some examples. Yes, this is the syntax of unit and volume parameter. So these are the three options that you will be having for the unit parameter, which is group name, device type, and device number. The group name specifies a group name that's identified device that belong to a category set up by the installation. As I already shown, one of the example is the SYSDA, and we also have the tape are commonly used group names. SYSDA typically refers to any DSD unit that's available for public use, and tape refers to any available tape drive. And device type specifies the device by its machine type or model. For example, if you specify the unit is equals to 3390, 3390 device is used. And also we have the option which is regarding the device number, specifies a device by its machine type or model. For example, if you specify Device number specifies by a 3 or 4 digit hexadecimal address. A 4 digit number must be preceded by slash as a unit. So this is one of the example, like /2301. So this is the device number. So these are the three options that you will be having for the unit parameter. And this is the syntax of volume parameter. So most of the time volume is equals to serial number. So serial number specifies which volume you want to allocate for your data set. If omitted, your operating system scan for eligible volume based on the unit parameter. So these are the example of the DD statement of the unit and volume parameter. So here you can see unit is equal to SYSDA and volume serial number we have provided MPS8BB. So these are the example of unit and volume parameter. So this is all about unit and volume parameter. Volume is equals to serial number, volume serial number. And for unit, we have three different options: group name, device type, and device number. Okay, the next one is the space parameter. For a new non-VSAM dataset, you code the space parameter as a part of DD statement to tell the system how much primary and secondary space to allocate to the dataset. Okay, so when you are creating any new dataset, you need to provide some primary space and the secondary space to for the creation of that particular dataset. The first space parameter establishes the unit of measure for space allocation. In most of the cases, we have CYL for cylinders. We have TRK for track is used, but you can also allocate space based on block length or average record length. Okay, so these are the unit cylinders and tracks. These are the units of primary and secondary values that you will be using for your data set. So based on your requirement, you can provide if you want to use the cylinder or if you want to use the track, and those parameter will be used for the primary space, primary value and the secondary value. The first value in the second sub parameter specifies the primary quantity or extent of a disk space to allocate in terms of unit specified. This is the amount of space that is allocated when data set is created. So what is primary quantity? Primary quantity is the amount of space that's allocated when the data set is created. So that it is primary value that you have used to create your data set. For example, you can use n value as cylinder, for example, 10, 15, n number. So that is all about your primary value, and you also have the secondary value. So the second value in the second parameter specifies the quantity of additional space to be allocated if more is needed. Depending on the type of data set you have defined, up to 122 secondary extent can be allocated, each as large as the amount you specify. So you have a primary quantity, and if your primary quantity is at the verge of completion or you don't have any primary quantity, then you have a parameter which is our secondary quantity, and then that will be come into the picture when to extend your quantity issue. So that is all about what is primary quantity and what is secondary quantity. For a standard sequential and partition data set, the limit is 15 secondary extent. So for example, if you are using standard sequential or partition file, and the limit like for that particular secondary extent are the 15 secondary extent. The third value in the second sub parameter specifies the number of 256 byte record needed in the directory of a partition dataset, which is PDS. Each directory block is large enough to define 21 members. So if you are creating any PDS member or the partition dataset member, then you need to provide the directory block option with the primary quantity, secondary quantity, and you can provide your directory block value. So each directory block is large enough to define 21 members. Okay, so this is the very good example. This is the syntax of space parameter. So here you have space is equals to unit. So in this unit specifies the unit used to allocate space to the data set as follows. So when you are creating any data set. So for that particular data set, you will be allocating some unit. So tracks, we have cylinders, we have blocks, we have average record length. So this is all about unit. So I think in my example, let me check. Yes. So in space parameter, I use cylinder as my unit for that for creating this file. So this is cylinder value for this file. So this is the first, which is unit. Then we have the primary quantity. Primary quantity specifies the number of units to be initially allocated to the file. So this is the first space that will be allocated to that particular file. That's why it is a primary quantity. And the next one is the secondary quantity, specifies the number of unit to be allocated to each secondary extent. So once we are completing using all our primary quantity values, then we have the secondary quantity, and there we also have the extents of secondary quantity, as I already mentioned in the last slide. For normal PS and PDS member, we have 15 extents of the secondary extent values. The next one is the directory, specifies the number of directory blocks to allocate for a partition data set. So let me use my example. So I am creating this file. I'm using this disposition parameter, which is this is my new file. And if the program executes or this particular operation executes successfully, then I need to catalog that file. If not, then I should delete that particular file. And what are the space allocation I have used? For the space, I have used cylinder value as a unit. 10 cylinder is my primary quantity. 10 cylinder is my secondary quantity. One is my directory block, that it is a PDS member, and one we are having directory blocks as one. So this is all about what is unit, what is primary quantity, what is secondary quantity, and what is directory. So here are some example of space parameter, and that will give you the more idea about how to read space parameter. So here example, space is equals to unit. We have cylinder. So unit is cylinder. Four cylinder is the primary value. One specifies this one cylinder as a secondary value. Five meaning we are having directory blocks as a five blocks. So this is how you read any space allocation line. First one is the unit. Then we have the four as a primary. So four cylinders, one cylinder. Five is the directory block. In the second example, we are having unit as track, and you are having primary quantity as five, that means five track. You are having second quantity as two, that means two tracks. And here you don't have any directory block, that means it will be a normal PS file. And the next example is you are having the bytes value, which is our 800 primary. You are having the 508 byte block, and here you will be having 800 byte block. So here you can specify that we have some unit, track, cylinder, block length, record length as well. You have primary quantity, you have secondary quantity, and you can use directory blocks as well. So this is all about the syntax of space parameter. The next one is the DCB parameter. The DCB parameter lets you specify the dataset attributes that are stored in the dataset data control block. Because existing dataset retrieve their attribute information from the datasets label, this parameter is used only for the new datasets, and then only if the application program that create the dataset doesn't supply the required information. The recfm subparameter specifies how the dataset records are formatted. Most often FB fixed block, VB variable block is used. And if the block size BKLSIZE is the block size subparameter is omitted, the system will calculate the optimum block size for that data. As a result, you may never code a block size subparameter. The record format, the L record length, the block size subparameter can also be coded as a separate DD statement parameter instead of a sub parameter. So let me explain what is that meaning. So here For example, I'm creating this file. Okay, I have provided disposition parameter. I have provided my space parameter. Here, I need to provide my DCB parameter. So here we have the record format, which is unit. Then we have the record length as 100, and then we have a organization as a PO, like partition organization. So in this example or in this syntax, you will get the better idea about the disposition. So here DCB parameter. So here DCB parameter, we have the organization that in my example, I have used PO. So there are so many options. So specifies the data sets organization. So if you are creating any data set, then you should provide the organization of that particular file to the system so that based on that parameter, the file will get created. PS means physical sequential, which is a simple PS file. PO means partition file, which is our partition data set where you will be having some uh, directory block data set as well. DA means direct, IS means index sequential. So these are the organization parameter you will be having: PS, PO, DA, IS. So in my example, I have used PO because I want to create a file which is our partition organization, because I'll be creating file in this format and I have provided some directory block. So that is why my organization is the PO, which is partition organization. So next parameter is record FM. This specifies the format of the files record as follows. Here we have the F, which is fixed length, which is unblock. We have FB, which is our fixed length, which is block. Here we have variable length, which is unblock. Here we have VB, variable length, block. And we have option as VBS, variable length, block and span. And we have U, which is undefined. So in my example, I have specified it as a U. That means I have provided value as undefined. So in our coming session, we will be deep diving into each and every this files record format. What is FB? What is fixed length? What is fixed length unblock? What is variable length? What is variable length blocks, and how they are allocating space, and how you can decide which file format you should use. So in the coming lecture, we will be deep diving into that parameter. And the next one is the LREC-L, specifies the length of the files record. So in my example, I have provided the length of the record is as 100. Then we have the block size, specifies the length of files block. For every block size is normally a multiple of a record length. So if you are using the fixed block as a files record format, then you will be having that block size is the multiple of this length of file. So in my example, I have used it as a user. I don't need to provide that. So, but in most of the example, you can see you will be providing the block size as well when you are using the FB, which is our fixed length, and it should be a multiple of the whatever the length of your file record. So it should be multiple. So most of the time you use record length as 80 and your block size is 800, that kind of that. So here are some example. So here you have the organization as PS, then we have a record format of the files record as F, then we have a length of files record, which is 133. And here we have the DD parameter for a file with variable length records up to 500 bytes long. So here we have provided it as a variable block, and we have the 500 byte as a variable length record. So these are some examples. So when you are reading any JCL and you get to know, like, okay, these are the parameter that provided for that particular DCB parameter. So you should have that knowledge, like what is that organization of that file. And you will be having this option PS, PO, DA, IS. So, okay, so PS means partition data set. PO means PS means physical sequential, PO means partition data set. And there you have the format of files records, which is fixed length, variable length, fixed length, unblock, variable length, unblock. And here you have the length of files record. And here you have the block size of that particular record. So most of the times, if you are creating new file, you will be providing your DCB parameter. So just keep in mind each and every value is very important. So based on your requirement, if you want to create the PS file, use PS. If you want to create the partition file, use PO. If you want to create the index sequential or direct file, use this option. And based on your requirement, you just check what files record you want to use, fixed length, variable length, or undefined. And based on that, you can specify the length of files record, and you can also provide the block size as well. So this is all about the DCB parameter. So I hope you like the fourth session of this JCL learning. In this session, we have covered whatever parameter we have in the DD statement. So we started with catalog facility, then we went on learning what are the DD statement parameter we have. Then after that, we move on DCB parameter, then we move on unit and volume parameter. Then we learn what is space parameter, how you can specify a space parameter of any particular file that you will be using. And after that, we went on learning DCB parameter. Okay, so that's it all about for the today's session. So thank you so much.